There we go. Yeah, I can hear you good with your microphone, man. We're on.
So, thanks again for coming on the channel.
How have you been?
Been good. Excited.
Good, I am too, man. It's been a long time since we've been able to have a good talk.
It's been 3 years. I watched the first interview to get ready for this one a little while ago.
That's awesome.
Alright, so I've got, I think, 4 or 5 questions for you.
All right.
So the first one, have you noticed a change in your driving since you drove Zombie to now driving Earthshaker? Or I guess Monster.
I actually have, and it deals with a lot of different things. I think that comes in play with it. Is back when I was in Zombie, it was triple threat, and so I was on the ATV and then hopping on the Razor, then into the Monster Jam truck, and it was just such an adrenaline-packed event that was like as a collective whole that when I'd hop in the Zombie truck, I was so just amped that I was very, very, very aggressive driving. And I also had some really good competition that I was coming up against. All of them are almost all the people that I was, racing against is all now world champions. And so I mean, like, it wasn't an easy race by any means. And now, driving Earthshaker and Monster Mutt or Rockwell Red or whatever Monster Jam truck I'm in for the weekend, the events are a lot more toned down for me as far as not so just go, 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 hop out of one, hop in the next, and then run it just to the extreme dirt. And so I'm pushing the truck as far as its limitations can go, and just trying to make it through the whole event where I don't miss any elements. I won't miss donuts, because I went too big in a sky wheelie or, went too hard in donuts or something, and flip over and break a bunch of stuff and can't make freestyle. And so that's where I'm at now is I'm pushing the truck as hard as it can go, doing as best of a job as I can do without causing a bunch of damage where I miss a bunch of events, And so like that's, it's turned into a very different kind of driving style that I'm learning, and it's definitely been a learning curve, though.
Everybody you competed against is now a world championship. It's been that long and they're that talented.
Yeah, they were. I mean, like, you got Armando, I'm pretty sure Kristen got.
Kristen has a world record. She doesn't have a world championship yet.
That is true. She does have a world record. Then you got Tristan, and yeah, I mean, just like a lot of them, like half the fleet that I was against.
And you guys are all veterans now. You're not rookies anymore.
I know, it's crazy. Like, I mean, everyone's been in the sport for so long now that it's crazy to think that, like, we are veterans in the sport now. It's been that many years.
That was going to be the last question, but I'm going to bump it up to the next question since we went there. Who do you think is the best up-and-coming driver in the industry right now, male or female?
Man. That's a really, really tough question because there's a lot of different drivers with a lot of different driving styles. And, I mean, for me, it would have to be, pretty one-sided just because the people that I run with and the team I'm with at Team Pro Auto Monster, I'm with these guys every single week, and I can watch their progression. I can watch their growth. I can see how much they're pushing the trucks to different things. And so I couldn't really choose one specific driver. I would either say Devin Winfield, Berto Trevino, or Tim Hall Jr. Between those three that's on the team, I watch every single one of them, and they are progressing from the first time I saw them drive to now, just, insane amount. And so I have no idea exactly where they're going to be at, say, in a year, but I know, say, in 2 to 5 years, I mean, they're going to be one of the top dogs, in the industry.
Well, they have a good teacher.
That is true. Yeah.
You
No.
want my story?
Yeah.
Alright. So, one is John Zimmer Jr.
Okay.
This is in no order. There's also a theme. This is all drivers who I've seen
Okay.
live. 2 is Jamie Sullivan.
Okay.
And 3 is Weston Anderson.
Weston is an animal. I will say that Weston is an animal, and I always forget that he's fresh in the sport. Like the way
He
he
doesn't drive
drives.
like it.
No, he doesn't. I mean, he drives like he's been in it for 10 years. I mean, he's a really good driver. I ran with him this past weekend. I mean, it was a really good time. But he's definitely some stiff competition.
You also ran with him a few weeks ago in Edmonton.
Yeah.
How was it like to be back in Canada? And is there anything that kid can't do with a monster truck?
I don't know yet. I mean, like, he's pushing that truck as hard as it can go. I mean, I really don't know. I don't think that there is any limitations that he has. I think it's just in his blood and his DNA from his family doing it, and who his father is. Canada was the first time I actually got to run with him and actually see how he performed and how he raced. And I mean, like, it blew me away. It was so awesome. As far as Canada,
He
though,
made the YouTube highlights that weekend because he did a wheelie with one wheel. And
yeah,
everyone's trying to figure out how in the world he did it.
it's a gravedigger thing, man. I mean, those trucks, they dance in different ways, man. It's something about them. I got to test drive one when I was in Paxton, and I loved that chassis as far as the weight and everything it felt. I could make it do anything. I mean, gravedigger trucks are so cool. And yeah, no, I mean, that kid, he can put it in, do whatever that he wants it to do. And no, he's a really good dude. I really like Weston, man.
Do all the trucks drive different, or do they drive about the same?
I
I mean,
will
up this
tell
question
you.
is not what I have written down.
Oh man, every single, not necessarily just Monster Jam trucks, but every single monster truck as itself drives completely different. And so say, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many different chassis I've been in, and like even just going through Monster Jam University, I was probably in 5 or 6 different chassis. Every single one of them was built the exact same with the exact same parts. Every single one of them drove completely different. And it was just slightly off. It wasn't anything crazy, but one would do nose wheelies really, really well. Another one would do actual wheelies really well. One was awesome at racing. I mean, like, it's just, but it was the same exact truck. And so, yeah, every single Monster Jam truck and monster truck is completely different when you hop in them. So that's why it's a hard learning curve as far as, say I get in a new chassis for the weekend, I got to learn that truck instantly. I'm going to have to back up here for this whole one. And there we go. But no, every single one of them, man, it's hard to learn that fast because I mean you're in an event. I mean, like, they're like, hey, it's racing, and you pin it, and you got to learn right then and there how it's going to react and how it's going to feel and how the shocks work on that specific truck. But yeah.
And the events aren't like what they used to. Like the first time I saw you, where you have a break. It's now you get in and you go.
Yeah.
And you do not stop.
There's no stopping. I mean, like, we are running every single week.
I lost you for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Devin was calling me. But Devin Winfield was calling me. I apologize. But no, I mean, like, we just go. I mean, we run hard. We run so hard, man. It's awesome because there's no breaks. You know, as far as like when I had triple threat and stuff like that, I'd go a couple months without driving. Now it's like every single weekend we're somewhere, doing something somewhere, different city, different country, every single weekend, and it's so much fun, man. It's so cool. But yeah, it's just go, man.
I'm gonna take a guess at the trucks you've driven. I want you to see how right I am, or if these are the ones that at least I know of.
Okay.
Zombie.
Yeah.
Rockwell Red.
Yes.
Ice Cream Man,
Uh-huh.
and Earthshaker. Those are the four that I know of.
Okay.
And Monster Mutt.
Monster Mode. All right. So,
So which ones am I missing?
we got Zombie. I drove Soldier Fortune Ice. I filled in for
I
Tony.
didn't know that.
One event. Yeah, it was one event filled in for him. So it was Zombie, Soldier Fortune Ice, Ice Cream Man, uh, Rockwell Red, Kamikaze, Earthshaker, and then Monster Mutt. So I guess, I'm trying to think what else I drove. I think that's it. So it's 7.
Wow.
I thought it was 8. I got told it was 8 by someone, and I can't remember if I'm missing a truck or not.
Maybe 8's coming up. Maybe that's why.
Maybe so, man. I mean, never know. Might be in Velociraptor next weekend. Who knows?
You do drive for a team of lots of trucks, so.
Yeah. You could rack them up pretty quick. I mean, just filling in. I think Tim put down a couple of them on his belt this year just randomly. It was like, hey, this weekend, I got to go hop in this truck, and he just flew out and got a new truck underneath his belt. So.
Alright, so one of the last questions, I got 2 more.
Okay.
So the first one is there any difference between Monster Jam and the other tours? Because since we last talked, you got to do some independent touring.
That is true. And I will tell you this, independent touring and Monster Jam is so different in so many ways. And there is a lot of different, I love them both in their own aspect. I love them both in their own ways because nothing can beat Monster Jam. I mean, like, Monster Jam is Monster Jam. It's as big and as bad as you can get. The biggest, baddest trucks, biggest, baddest drivers in the entire world. When you come out there,
It seems to get bigger every year.
yeah, and I mean, it's always growing. Monster Jam has grown so much in the past years, and I love it. I mean, especially all the drivers, too. I mean, you got to think about the tricks that they do now compared to 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. I mean, everyone's coming up with new adaptive tricks of even, like, coming up, hitting the rear steer, and then you, like, pop up on the pod, while going straight and walking. Like, it's just crazy stuff you'd never think about, but all these drivers are collectively bringing this into the world and the industry. So,
Blame the Anderson boys.
yeah, mostly the Anderson boys. Those guys are crazy. I love them all, man. But we got, so with that, when you go to an independent show, they are so different, and I had to relearn how to drive running independent shows because I was driving like I was in Jam. But all the ramps aren't perfectly set, I mean, like, they do their best to make the best possible track that they can. But they got cars, they got buses, they got big old tabletops, they got just kicker jumps.
Well, they got the fun stuff.
Yeah, they got all like this crazy stuff. They got like campers out there, and you just look at it. And I'm like, well, I've never jumped a bus before, and so I just had to learn right then. Like, okay, so I got to go up to it like this. I got to hit it like this. Not land here. And so with like independent shows, I had to just completely throw out what I knew and bring in how it was there. And now I can do slap wheelies there and, all kinds of fun stuff. So like there's a lot of different stuff I can do at an independent show compared to where I'm at in Monster Jam at the moment, which is arenas, because it's an arena, so it's limited on the different kind of variations that you can do. You're limited on, space, but so you can't really like drop it down and then walk a flat wheelie 100 yards. You just can't physically do that. And I love them both in their own way, to be completely honest. But yeah, I mean, like, it's been so much fun just going out and just running hard for all of these promoters and all these different people and different speedways. I mean, like, it's so much fun, man.
So the final question I have, I think at some point I was going to go to this.
Okay.
Can you talk about how you got back behind the wheel after the pandemic? You knew I was going to go there at some point.
I knew you were going to go there. I've been waiting to do this interview for 2 years now, man. Because
It's 3
when
years, I believe.
when the pandemic hit, everything changed. You know, like they swapped stuff around in the monster truck industry, and one of the things they swapped around is I wasn't in it at that moment. So I was out working wherever I was, could work, man. I mean, like it was just everything was just kind of a little bit weird and different at that moment. But I always wanted to go back racing, man. I always, this is what I love. This is my life and what I do. And so I was just waiting and then talked to you, and we were just talking.
Thanks to a Facebook post.
Yeah,
And
Facebook.
I following, because I follow all the monster truck teams or the different tours, and one of them had a post about drivers wanted, and I went, I know somebody who might want this, and sent it to you, and went, I don't know if it'll go anywhere, and looks like it has.
Mhm. And so you sent me that, and you're like, do you still
I
want to
can't
drive
remember
monster
what that
truck?
was for now. What
Yeah,
team it was, I can't even remember.
it was for Team Triple B Motorsports.
Glad you remember.
Yep. And it was crazy because you sent me that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, like I've never did independent stuff before, but if they want a driver and need a driver, like I'll hit them up and see. And so I hit them up that night, and the owner of it hits me up. His name was James, and he's like, yeah, like have you drove a monster truck before? And I'm like, yeah, I've drove a monster truck before, and so I sent him videos of Zombie.
That was the first question.
Yeah, that was the first question. Like, have you ever drove a monster truck? I'm like, definitely drove a monster truck, man. And
If you send him a highlight of you and Zombie, that would have said, here's your answer.
yeah, it was that I did. I sent him a highlight reel of Zombie, and I was like, yeah, like this is what I did. Like, this is who I am, dude. And he's like, awesome, and so we went through the details of it, and within I think it was like 2 weeks, he's like, hey, we got an event in Georgia. Sorry if I lagged out a second. And so I was like, yeah, let me talk to my work. So I literally went to my job and was like, hey guys, I'm quitting, man. And they're like, what do you mean you're quitting? I'm like, I race monster trucks, so like I'm going back to my job. They were like, are you serious? I'm like,
They've called me back.
yeah, like they didn't even know I drove trucks. And within 2 weeks, man, I was back in a seat because of you. Like, and it's been history since. I mean, joined Team Corrado Monster now and living in Utah and loving it, man. Back in Monster Jam, sick.
So, in other words, this channel, the first interview, you were out of work. Not long after that, and it was probably a few months after that, was I sent you the thing and you were back. So, if not for this channel, you would not be driving the truck again.
I'm serious. Yeah, I would still be working wherever I would be working. I mean, like, 'cause I just didn't know how to get back in it. Like, I mean, like, I didn't keep up with it enough, that part
I
of
had
it,
nothing else to do. There was a pandemic.
dude, like, it's so sick. Yeah, like, you and your channel got me back in a seat. Like, you giving me that information, man, it helped me so much. I gotta say thank you, man, because, like, you brought it back, man. I mean, I know there's a lot of people in this world you made happy, too, from it. Because, like, a lot of people loves seeing me drive and loves knowing, what I'm doing right now, and
One of
especially
them
my
would be
family.
right here.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I just thought of one more question.
What you got for me?
So, podcasts are a thing now, apparently, because I listen to the one for Monster Jam.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't had you as a guest yet. You'd be a good guest. But if you could have a podcast, a monster truck podcast,
Yes.
which current or former driver would you want as a co-host? Other than me.
Is it like a far out one? Like, or because
No,
I
like if it
know.
was to talk monster trucks. If you had a monster truck podcast, which current or former driver would you want as a co-host?
I mean, of course I'd say Tom Ince. Like, I mean, he's the guy that taught me how to drive. He's one of the arguably best dudes that's ever drove a Monster Jam truck. And so, like, I would love to have him as a guest. I mean, the stories that man has, the knowledge that man has is I mean, you can't get that from anywhere. But I mean, like he also lives in Illinois, and I live in Utah. So I mean, it'd be really hard to kind of like get that, get that going. But I'd say
I
probably
mean,
Tom.
I'm in Ontario right now, and you're in Utah, and we seem to be, with neither one of us good with technology, have managed to do this.
That is true, man. That's very true. Shoot.
How